Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about premenstrual dysphoric disorder, otherwise known as PMDD. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder is a cyclical hormone-based mood disorder, and it is considered to be an extreme form of premenstrual syndrome, otherwise known as PMS. Symptoms of PMDD arise in the premenstrual phase of the cycle and can be quite intense and very life-altering, to put it lightly. As you can see here, this is the diagnostic criteria for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Now, in order to be diagnosed with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, you have to have at least 5 of these symptoms. The main symptoms of premenstrual dysphoric disorder are mood-based. So people with PMDD experience one or more of the following mood-related symptoms, and that is extreme mood swings or feelings of sadness, increased irritability or anger, a very depressed mood, feeling hopeless or self-deprecating thoughts, and lastly, marked anxiety or tension. As well as those symptoms, people with PMDD may also experience a decreased interest in usual activity, difficulty concentrating, changes in appetite, changes in how they sleep, so they could have hypersomnia or insomnia, feeling overwhelmed or out of control, as well as physical symptoms such as breast tenderness. And so these are really important to be aware of because some of these symptoms overlap with premenstrual syndrome, which is a very, common thing that many people joke about, like, oh, I'm just PMSing. But PMDD is very serious, and it affects approximately 5 to 8% of menstruators, so that's not a small amount. That's quite a number of people. And unfortunately, a lot of people will get misdiagnosed. And from what researchers know, PMDD is not a hormone imbalance. It's actually a cellular, possibly a genetic malfunction in response to natural hormone changes, specifically progesterone changes. And I found this graphic online, which I think is really amazing. It talks about the interwoven pieces of PMDD. This graphic is really great at suggesting what can be like a major contributor to someone experiencing PMDD. Other things that could potentially put people at risk for PMDD is a history of trauma, as well as a history of depression, seasonal affective disorder, and stress. Now, the big reason why PMDD is so important to talk about, and the reason why I wanted to make this video, and I really hope I do this topic justice, because I really want anyone out there who struggles with PMDD or who's struggling with really intense premenstrual symptoms, especially that affect your mood and just like ability to do daily tasks, is that PMDD can greatly affect someone's quality of life. The symptoms are extreme, they're intense, they're not a laughing matter, and when people are in a PMDD crisis, 1 in 3 will try to attempt suicide, and that is really serious, and that's why PMDD needs to be talked about. You need to be aware of this so you can understand that having a really depressed mood when you're premenstrual and having irritability and anger and like loss of interest and these other changes going on, that those aren't normal. That is not normal premenstrual changes, and there is help out there. Like, you're not alone, and there's so much shame that is around the premenstrual phase and PMS in general, and it's just really sad because so many people like fall through the cracks and just struggle, and PMDD can become very, very serious. And so that's what I want you to take away from this video, so you can just like watch out for your friends, watch out for family, if you think someone in your life is experiencing PMDD symptoms, or if you think you are as well. Like, it's so important to know what the symptoms are, and it's so important to know that you're not alone and that help is out there. Now, if you're watching this video and you think you might have PMDD, but you've noticed that you're having a lot of the PMDD symptoms throughout your cycle and that they might kind of become worse when you're premenstrual, that might be premenstrual exacerbation. And that's something that is really important to understand, because PMDD is when you have really intense symptoms in the premenstrual phase of your cycle. Of course, it can start a little bit earlier and maybe around right after ovulation, but it's usually in the last 2 weeks of your cycle that you'll have symptoms. If you have another condition that the symptoms are made worse by your premenstrual phase, that is called premenstrual exacerbation, and that is a different condition. And so I just wanted to make that clear as well, because premenstrual exacerbation and premenstrual dysphoric disorder have like completely different treatments, and they are completely different things. Although you could potentially have them together, but I just wanted to make that very clear for anyone out there that is struggling with like mood or anxiety. It's just really important to know that PMDD symptoms arise after ovulation and are really, really intense before menstruation starts. And that is what makes PMDD PMDD. And so if you do suspect that you do have PMDD, the best thing that you can do right now is to start tracking your cycle, because not only is tracking your cycle just a great practice to get into, but you'll start to see where your symptoms happen and if they start to align with the premenstrual phase and you're only having symptoms in your premenstrual phase. You can take that information to your doctor so you can get support. In order to get a diagnosis of PMDD, your symptoms can't be related to another condition or related to anything else going on, and your doctor will be able to go through that with you and figure out if there's anything else like underlying. But it's definitely super important to start tracking your cycle. I'll put a resource down below in the description of this video for a cycle tracking resource so you can like print it off and start tracking your symptoms. And the cycle tracker that I'm going to be linking is from a amazing website called iapmd.org, and I highly suggest, if you think you might be struggling with PMDD or you think you might be struggling with premenstrual exacerbation, then check out that website, because that website has so many resources, it has so much information, so I definitely recommend checking that out. But as far as treatment goes, obviously that is something that is really dependent on symptoms, it's really dependent on the severity of symptoms, it's really dependent on the health practitioner you go to, because you know treatment plans can vary. The first line treatment of PMDD is lifestyle changes. It can also be like nutrition changes, adding exercise into your routine. Stress management is a really big one. Doing cognitive behavioral therapy can be very helpful for those with PMDD. A big thing with people who have PMDD is to make sure that they are stabilizing the brain's response to normal fluctuations. There are supplements that can be really helpful, like B6 for example, magnesium, calcium, vitamin E, as well as vitamin D. High fiber foods are incredibly important, as well as decreasing sugar and caffeine, and of course focusing on having a healthy sleep-wake cycle. Those are all really important, and those are all like first line treatments. However, those can take time to work, and so they're not necessarily something that is going to work for everyone. And in some cases, some people need relief really quickly from their symptoms, and so, you know, there's the possibility that some doctors might suggest SSRIs or birth control as treatment. Those are just like the treatment options that are out there. I'm sure as PMDD becomes more known and people become more aware of it, treatment will change and that kind of thing, and research will support different ways of finding treatment for people, but those are kind of some things that I came through in my research. Of course, if you have PMDD, talk to a healthcare professional to make sure that you are being supported, but also to have a treatment plan that's right for you. What I talk about in my videos is very general and very broad. These are just some options you might come across, but in order to support yourself the best, I really, really highly recommend seeking help and talking to a professional. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little bit more about premenstrual dysphoric disorder. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you so much. As always, your cycle matters so much, and I'll see you in the next video.